dogs benefit the military. So military working dogs like do multiple things, so they benefit the military in multiple ways. Some dogs find IEDs, which are like homemade explosives, and not like the dog's nose is not 100% accurate, but it's like a lot more accurate than ours, so they can find them, but not every time. And the dog handlers, they don't have like they train together, but then they go split off and work with other like military groups. So they might be training or working with people that work together for like 10 years. But so the Marines that have been together might not trust them, but it requires lots of trust in the dog and in the handler. And most of the time, the Marines like take turns on missions, and they don't like go every time. But the dog handler goes almost every time because they'll be needed like every time. And they usually take a position called point, which is where they walk in front of everyone and the dog sniffs out for the IEDs, and they look for other dangerous things too sometimes, and they're usually accompanied by another Marine with a metal detector for like double checking. And the job is like really dangerous, and since they're the first responders to any dangers that come along the way, so they can't like be stuck in that state of mind where they like are dwelling on all of the dangers and how they might die, but they have to just keep going. And the dog's nose is 100 times more powerful than humans. That makes them perfect for the IED, so that benefits the military. And the dog's nose works better on cool, calm climates, which is not usually where they are. They're usually in like hot, like extreme temperatures. And so far, like the dogs saved thousands of lives. So the military uses 3 different types of dogs mainly. They use the Belgian, the German Shepherd, and the Labrador Retriever. And the German Shepherd and the Belgian are like the same dog, but like they're not the same, but they look the same sort of. And these dogs they picked because their traits such as smell, strength, and personality are like what the military is looking for, because they don't want a dog that's too lazy or loyal in combat, because then they might try to save or like get crazy or something, and then they won't be able to train them again. And they can only train the dogs for an hour to 2 hours because they have shorter attention spans. And the handlers need to show dominance, otherwise the dog might overrule. So the dogs have a long history in the military. As long as like World War I, they were messengers. They didn't really like fight. And in World War II, they used dogs, like their smell, to scope out the Japanese positions, like in where they were coming from. And in the Vietnam, where they started using the dogs, it's a point in the jungles, and the dogs saved many lives. And they're also using the dogs in Afghanistan and Iraq now. And there was a dog on the Navy SEAL team that killed Osama bin Laden, and the dog name was covered. And he has a special harness. I was going to put a picture, but it got released. So I found this on the military website where you could get the dogs. So you could either have a patrol drug dog or a patrol explosive detector dog. And so the drug dogs might go to like airports and stuff, like you sleep in there sometimes, and like they just check for stuff. And they need to do health and welfare searches, law and order operations, and the other stuff. It requires specialized training, which most people, like you'd think lots of people would want to work with the dogs, but they don't, because it takes like 18 more weeks of training than normal. So they take 18 weeks of specialized training and then 2 more stages of training, which I think is a total of like 12 weeks after that. So that's like 30 weeks, which is a long time. And in addition to learning how to handle the dogs, they learn like how to use firearms and the basic things military learn. And there's like the big misconception about military dogs that like they're all equipment and the handlers can't like care about them. But the handlers shouldn't care about them like very much, but they can. Like I mean, it's a natural thing to like care. But sometimes most of the time the dog goes back to the second tour if the handler gets injured or something, or just like finishes their tour. But then sometimes they adopt the dogs, and like you hear about that sometimes. But or they could go into a therapy dog or specialized facility.